Why both the layperson and expert should read. 3 core definitions. The CEASM overview. The brilliance and hard work behind CEASM. And for a bonus challenge, CEASM cosmology. Those 3 papers work as a set. The 3 core definitions give you the physics. The CEASM overview turns it into a human operating system, and the brilliance and hard work behind CEASM explains why the stitching matters. They're worth reading because they start where most theories stop, at the hard limits, and build outward to daily life. Why a layperson should read them. You get a manual that replaces willpower talk with engineering. It explains stuckness in plain terms. Because of Wall-per-qubit limits and Wolfram's computational irreducibility, no brain, yours or anyone else's, can hold a complete model of the future. The papers say, you don't fail because you're weak. You fail when you try to pre-compute what must be lived through. Understanding becomes physically sampling trajectories you cannot pre-compute. Intelligence becomes acting to keep future options open, and empathy becomes co-sampling futures together. It connects lifestyle to physics. The CEASM overview maps sleep, movement, nutrition, sunlight, and social contact directly onto a mechanism called the entropy toggle from Carhart-Harris. Suppress entropy too long, and you get rigid rumination and higher allostatic load. Raise it briefly, and you get insight and recovery. That's why Ornish's plant-based diet, plus stress management, and Ilade's TLC protocol work. They lower baseline free energies so your system is cheaper to run. It gives you a practice loop, not a belief. Sense gives steer, gives sync, gives stabilize. Calibrate daily with TLC inputs. Sample with 10 to 20 minutes of open exploration. Steer toward actions that preserve branching futures. Sync with 3 to 5 Fredrickson micromoments of shared positive effect per day. Stabilize weekly with safe co-regulation that drives Lewis-style limbic revision. The papers argue this is how you build a fault-tolerant repertoire, like Vukosik's disordered photonic crystals that stay functional when damaged. You don't need the math to use it. The takeaway is, mastery isn't maximal control. It's engineered capacity to stay near criticality and let other people help you compute the world. Why an expert should read them. You get falsifiable definitions where most frameworks offer metaphors. They start at impossibility theorems. All 3 definitions open with Fristan's free energy principle constrained by Wall-per-qubit, undecidability, and Wolfram irreducibility. That reframes cognition as self-evidencing under a Markov blanket that must enact rather than simulate. They integrate across scales with mechanisms, not analogies. In one sentence each you get Fristan, Carhart-Harris, entropy suppression, elevation, Wisner-Gross, causal entropic forces, Tononi IIT-Phi, Vukousik, fault-tolerant disorder, Levin bioelectric shared interiors, Siegel, IPNB, Fredrickson positivity resonance, and Lewis limbic revision. The novelty is making them interlock. The entropy toggle modulates a Vukousik-style repertoire to preserve Wisner-Gross past diversity, while coupling via Levin-style interiors lowers joint-free energy. They are testable. Each definition ends with predicted signatures and a null. Mathematical understanding. Routine solving shows low entropy and moderate phi. Insight shows transient Lempel, Ziv entropy rise, avalanche exponents near criticality, and phi increase. Physical intelligence. Novel search shows broader state space coverage and higher path entropy. Perturbation recovery correlates with controlled disorder. Biological empathetic awareness. Empathic episodes show simultaneous entropy rises, interbrain phase synchrony, and higher dyadic phi. Disrupting coupling raises joint free energy. They reframe altruism. CEASM's core claim: under irreducibility, coupling is cheaper than solo computation. You master yourself precisely by engineering conditions where another's system helps you sample the Ruliad. That makes altruistic self-mastery a control-theoretic optimum, not a moral preference. The universal questions they answer. And what's novel? 1. What are the absolute limits on knowing? Answer. Embedded inference is undecidable, in principle, Walpert qubit. Novelty. They make that limit the first premise for definitions of mind, not a footnote. 2. What must any living system do when it cannot compute ahead? Answer. Physically sample irreducible structure, hold an ordered to disordered model repertoire, and toggle entropy. Novelty. Combining Fristan's minimization with Wolfram's enactment requirement and Carhart-Harris's toggle. Sen. What is understanding, mechanistically? Answer. Self-evidencing activity that navigates the Ruliad by running trajectories, maintaining fault tolerance. Novelty. Adds Vukovic disorder and predicts entropy. 4A signatures at insight. Si. What is intelligence, physically? Answer. Non-equilibrium free energy minimization biased toward preserving causal path entropy. Novelty. Replaces single trajectory optimization with Wisner-Gross option preservation as the objective. What is empathy, biologically? Answer. Not simulation, but transient alignment of nested Markov blankets via shared bioelectric-like interiors, initiated by micro-moments and consolidated by limbic revision. Novelty. Reframes theory of mind as joint physics with measurable interbrain synchrony and dyadic phi. 6. Why do relationships, diet, sleep, and exercise change health? Answer. They modulate the same variables: baseline free energy, entropy toggle range, and path diversity. P&I inflammation maps to chronic high free energy. TLC inputs train the toggle. FACES flow describes the CEASM set point. Novelty. A straight line from quantum undecidability to Ornish's heart disease reversal data. 7. Is optimal functioning about more order or more chaos? Answer. Neither. It's metastable toggling just below criticality with deliberate excursions, maintaining integrated yet differentiated dynamics hi-fi. Novelty. Elevates Vukovic-style controlled disorder from a materials property to a design virtue for minds and dyads. In short, for a lay person, these papers give you a physics-based reason to walk, eat omega-3 south, sleep, and look someone in the eye for 20 seconds. For an expert, they give you definitions you can put in a lab with null hypotheses that tie impossibility theorems to immune markers and relationship quality. Now, for the far more heady and groundbreaking CEASM cosmology. This is the move that makes CEASM read differently from every other brain at criticality story. You're not saying the brain acts like it's near a phase transition. you're saying the baseline operator that the brain, and any embodied observer, is running is a physical object that general relativity already knows about. A space-time crystal sitting exactly at the threshold of collapse. Groundbreaking because before 2025 to 2026, space-time crystals were a condensed matter curiosity with a fixed signature. The Ecker et al. Critical Space-Time Crystals paper makes the signature dynamical, and you import that directly as the computational substrate for mind. Both the geometry and the cognition need the same null condition to stay regular. No previous model derives the trade-off between exploration and precision from a null hypersurface condition. Why the field hasn't done this yet? Critical collapse was numerically intractable for 30 years. The large D analytic family only arrived January 2026. The idea that the critical solution resembles the emergent conformal symmetry observed in physical systems at a second-order phase transition was a passing analogy until Ecker et al. Named it a space-time crystal in February 2026. No neuroscience theory had a geometric object that naturally toggles time-like to space-like while preserving a discrete lattice. CEASM plugs that gap.